all he had and traveled to a distant country. He had spent everything. A severe famine took place throughout the country, and he began to be in need. So he went and hired himself out to one of the citizens of that country, who sent him to his fields to feed the pigs. He would gladly have filled himself with the pods for the pigs were eating, and no one gave him anything. But when he came to himself, he said, "How many of my father's hired hands have bread enough and to spare, but here I am, dying of hunger? I will get up and go to my father, and I will say to him, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Treat me like one of your flock.' His father saw him and was filled with compassion. He ran and put his arms around him and kissed him. Then the son said to him, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son.' But the father said to his slaves, 'Quickly, bring out a robe, the best one, and put it on him. Put a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet. And get the fatted calf and kill it, and let us eat and celebrate. For this son of mine was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found.' And they began to celebrate."
Amen.
Just a closer walk with verses. We're going to sing verses 1 and 2. Thanks for the gift who simply seek to be set them close. Love in your mercy. Fill us with your prodigal grace again. And in that wholeness, be the hands and feet of Christ.
Hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done. On earth give us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
Our sermon scripture reading taken from Luke 15:25-32. The Word of God for the people of God. This is found in pages 850 and 851 in your Pew Bible. Now his elder son was in the field, and when he came and approached the house, he heard music and dancing. He called one of the slaves and asked what was going on. He replied, "Your brother has come, and your father has killed the fatted calf, because he has got him back safe and sound." Think with him. But he answered his father, "Listen, for all these years I have been working slave for you, and I have never disobeyed your command. Yet you have never given me even a young goat so that I might celebrate with my friends. But when this son of yours came back, and he has devoured your property with prostitutes, you killed the fatted calf for him. Then the father said to him, Son, you are always with me, and all that is mine is yours. But we had to celebrate and rejoice because this brother of yours.
Amen.
The parable of the prodigal son. Ah, this old chestnut. Whenever this, of all the stories we have to work with, the parable of the prodigal son is probably one of my favorites, and without a doubt, one of the easiest to work from. You write it titled Prodigal Son, who demands his inheritance, goes dissolute living. Loses it all. We don't know what happens. Maybe he gambled it away, maybe he drank wild women and raucous parties, and who knows? We're not told. He just loses, homeless, nobody knows him, nobody cares about him. So he's a slop that he's given the pigs looks good to him. In this part of the story, you kind of get that little bit of righteousness going on, right? You read the story, you're like, took half your inheritance, stormed off the wild living, serves you right. If this was a movie, this would be that second act where the main character hits rock bottom, right? And then, of course, we move on to the third act. That's the important one. He figures out I can go home, and even if I'm a servant, a slave in my father, I have sinned against you and against heaven. Just make me a son. Never stopped looking to see if he would come home. The father comes running out to him, runs, puts his arms around him. He's so in humiliation in this moment, but instead, as the scene changes to one of joy and jubilation, forgiveness and grace abound as the father at this moment, right? That happy ending where you're like, yay, his dad loves him, your brother. A lot of times we miss this part of the story. Oftentimes when we read the parable of the prodigal son, right, we get to the party and we stop, because that's a happy ending. We like happy endings. We don't realize he came home, his dad said, welcome home, and threw a big party. Yay, the story's done. But the story's not done. There's another part. The older brother comes from working in the fields, gets up on the porch and sees there's a party going on inside. What's going on? One of the servants goes, hey, remember your younger brother that took his half of the inheritance and ran off and had those wild parties? And yeah, he came back broke and homeless and penniless. And your dad just took him in and threw a party. The older brother's jealous. He's envious of this. Right? He turns on him. He's the sulker. To have a few friends over, put a goat on the spit, maybe crack open a few beers. Never! For him. Years ago, 40 years ago, if some each other's lives that much back then. So if there wouldn't let you eat, kept it in the pantry, that's forget. That's a good day. Right? That fatted calf, fed, hand-rubbed veal. It's going to melt in your mouth like butter. They break it out for the homeless son that just showed up on the doorstep. And the older brother's standing there and he's like, what? Where's mine? All this time that the father tries to reassure his son that, son, all I have is yours. But this is family drama and it's fine. All kinds of stuff. And every time I come to this story, it seems like there's a I find when we look at this story again. Obviously, when I've read the story in the past, a lot of times we focus primarily on the prodigal son, the younger brother. Right? He's kind of the main character in the first 2/3 of the story. And it's something about his story. We've all felt that feeling of being lost. Right? Of being away from home. Right? The son went away to, it says, a distant country. That's not so much how far away it was. It's really describing this parable when we're separated from God. We've all been in those moments in our life where we're drifting, where we're lost, where we feel like we've wandered away from God's presence, right? And every time when we turn around and look back, God's waiting there with those open arms, just like in the story. But we've all felt that, so I think we all relate to the country. Right? When I turned 18 and graduated from high school, I couldn't wait to get out of my hometown. My hometown's not very big. It's about 4,700 people. I did not want to live in a town that small. And so I went away to college. I went far away to college in a town of 2,300 people. Don't ask me to be honest until I was 18. Come on. But I'd never gone back to my home. But when I left and went to college, I couldn't go to church. Right? College for me was that distant country. It wasn't that I wasn't in a place where there wasn't any churches. I went to a Christian church, churches aplenty. But during that time, I didn't go to church. I was separated. It wasn't until years later that my wife and I felt this calling to be a part and go back again. So I think we all relate to the prodigal son. If not for us, certainly somebody we know and love. We can look at that story and go, yeah, I've seen that play out. Right? That story of storming off, going to do it on your own, get out in the real world punches you in the face. Right? You end up with nothing, you come crawling back home. It's a good story. We can relate to that. But this time I noticed something about his older brother. Old sad sack, what about me? Where's mine? The older brother, all four, and so I read it through this time, that he was lost too. I am a brother. I'm the oldest brother in my family. I have two younger brothers. They're much younger than I am. I'm 9 years older than Luke. I'm 13 years older than Jacob. They're friends, and there have been times in life when he took my Transformer toy. No, I didn't. Usually the fights now center on them coming to terms with me being the favorite. It's hard for any sibling to grasp that, when you're trying to explain. Even if we fight like cats and dogs, right? We're inevitably linked by that familial bond. All right? And I might be mad at him, but I'll punch you for coming at him too. Right? Because he's my brother. Just how it is. Yeah, I might hate him right now too, but you're not blood. We know that. We understand that relationship. We can't escape one another. And that's where we find the brother leave his family behind. Ventures out on his own. I'll do it myself. Don't need these people. Strikes out independently with his father's money. Only to come rolling home some weeks, months, years, who knows how long it's been. The story doesn't tell us. Comes home dirty. Of course he's going to be ostracized and relegated to a position of service in his own family. And surprise, surprise, Jesus lays out a picture of God's love for us. The love that God has for God's children in this relationship of father and son. The son, for being stupid, doesn't point out the multiple errors in his ways, doesn't knock him down a few pegs for good measure, but wipes his slate clean in jubilant compassion. The son is overwhelmed by this reception. His father throws a robe on his shoulders. He puts a ring on his finger. His son didn't have any clothes or wasn't wearing any rings or was barefoot. It's more than that. They're symbolic acts of forgiveness. That robe stands for honor. The ring stands for authority. And in that time, if you were to give someone your ring, it was like making them your power of attorney. You were giving them the responsibility of your name. That's the power that a family does. Right? The masters of the house always had shoes. The slaves did not. So when the son comes up, the robe and the ring and the sandals, these three things answer the plea the son was getting ready to say. The ring is the answer to I am not worthy to be called your son. The sandals are the answer to his plea, make me one of your servants. Different from his younger sibling, he stayed. When the younger brother took his inheritance and left, the older brother stayed. He stayed reluctantly, we discover in these verses. He stayed, but he too has been lost. His animosity and his envy have clouded his thoughts. The whole time, apparently, he's resented. He wanted to have some friends over throw a little shindig. But apparently he never even asked. So full of resentment towards his father was he never even brought it up. Never even threw it out there so it could get shot down. Because when his father discovers the son, his response is, "You have always been with me. All that is mine is yours." He trudged through, hopeful that one day his father would pass and all of this would be his. Then he could live as he wanted. He's much more like his younger brother than he wants to admit. They both want the patient. Now that his brother is home, his father's shocking generosity and graciousness and hospitality slap him hard in the face. Where's my reward? I've been working like a slave for you. Where's mine? What do I get? I've been here the whole time. We can all relate to the prodigal son. We've all had that existential lost feeling in our lives. We've all been away to that distant country. The distant country is not measured by physical distance, right? It's just where we're separated from God. Anywhere we've been away from God, where we try to live in the world without God, where we're forgetful about God's presence. Whenever you're not in fellowship with God, your life is that distant country. You don't belong there. You're far from home. I finally stumbled home again. Bedraggled, looking like 8 miles of bad road. But by golly, he just opened his loving arms and welcomed us in, didn't he? We've encountered that kind of grace and love, and it saved us. So we get the younger brother. We really please themselves. That's the essence of being in that distant country. Listen to the way the scriptures describe the two sons. The younger son goes to his father and says, "Father, give me." He's selfish. He's greedy. He gathered all he had, traveled to a distant country, squandered his riches in dissolute or foolish living. Spent everything. A severe famine came along. He had nothing. Went to work to feed pigs. Longed to eat his fill. Brother, Scripture describes him as being angry. He didn't want to go inside. I don't want to go to the party. Who doesn't want to go to a party? How much of a pouty baby do you have to be to not want to go into the party? His father pleaded with him. He replied to his father, "I've been working like a slave for you. This son of yours comes up." Notice how he describes his younger brother. "Not my brother." The father replies, "We had to celebrate because this brother of yours." Him and him, they're arguing back and forth about whether or not they're going to accept the younger brother or not. The older brother won't even admit he's related to him. The father reminds him, "You can't get away from him." We've all been prodigal of our Father's gifts. We've all received Him. Yet how often do we live as though Christ has never died and rose again? How often have we lived with self at the center of our life, away from the compassionate, loving heart and home of the Father? We might think we were the younger son. We like to see ourselves in that role because it's a happy ending. Oh, yeah, no, I went away and then I came back and everything was great. We like that role, but how often do we see ourselves as the older brother? Here, not out of joy and thanksgiving, but out of forced duty and rigid obligation. Not here because we realize how blessed we are to be in our Father's house, but here because somebody's got to do it. Somebody has to be responsible for it. Somebody has to step up. I guess it's going to have to be me. the older brother, selfish with the blessings God has given us. I don't want to share them. I don't know that stranger, that person. Why would I let them use our stuff? It's our stuff. It's mine. That's what the older brother would say. That fatted calf, that wasn't part of his inheritance. That was part of my inheritance. He took his half and he left. That calf was eventually going to be mine. Right? How often have we been that older brother hoarding our stuff to us? Don't want to share it. Don't want to have a part of it. It's all mine. How often? Do we not realize that we are in our Father's house? Do we not realize how blessed we are? How fortunate.
Amen.
You are always with me. All that is mine is yours. John Ortberg, who's a Christian author, we've read some of his stuff together before. He says one of the hardest things in the world is to stop being the prodigal son without turning into the older brother. Whether you have been away in a distant country or you have felt stuck here because of routine and duty, recognize where you are. You are in your Father's house, not as a slave, not as a servant, but as a child of God, loved, forgiven, saved, and redeemed. All that is mine is yours, the Father says. Both of the brothers in our story were lost. One resented his father and left. One resented his father and stayed. But by the end of the story, only one of them is found. I often wonder about that older brother. The story doesn't conclude. It doesn't tell us what happened. Did he get over himself and go into the party and have some veal? Did he forgive his brother? Did he welcome him back as his brother? Did he come to terms with his own resentment and greed with his father? Did his father's grace and love crack his heart? Did he find the joy of being home? Of being where he belonged? Come home today. Come home from that distant country that's separating you from God's love and joy. Come in from the harvest fields and rejoice in your good fortune and blessings. You are always with me. All that is mine is yours. Come home and be lost no more. Amen.
Amen.
because we are afraid we won't have enough to pay our bills, afraid we won't be able to take care of our family, afraid we won't be able to live as we want. We often restrict our giving. We hold back saving a little just in case. But God does not want us to give in fear. God wants us to give in faith. The faith that God is with us in the boat, in the storm, and will see us through the other side. When you give today, do not let fear rule your gift, but instead let your gift be given in faith. Would the elders and deacons please come forward?
Amen.
Table to break bread and share cup. We come to this table from that distant country where we were lost and aimless, where we've been working the same table that provides us with the grace and the hope and the love and the forgiveness that we need for our path, rejoicing in the banquet we find. Our song, Able Lord, will sing all three verses. Around the table, he took the loaf of bread and having blessed it, he broke it. He passed it to them and said, "This is my body that is given for you. Do this in remembrance of me." The same manner he took the cup, and after he had blessed it, he passed it among them, saying, "This cup is my blood of the new covenant that is shed for you and for many. When you eat this bread and drink this cup, do it in remembrance of me."
Shall we pray?
Amen.
Our kind Heavenly Father, as we come to this communion table this morning, we ask forgiveness for those ways our lives have fallen short of our possibilities in doing your will. We lay aside the cares that press in upon us, that we may know only your presence thank you for this loaf and cup. Let them be spiritual food, strengthening us to go from this place and to be and to do only that which is pleasing to you. We pray in Jesus'